Welcome coders to Java tutorials. Now I'll be continuing this video from where we left. In the previous video we studied about two types of dynamic inputs. I actually broke this video into two parts, reason being it was becoming very long, and the point of making these tutorial videos is that people should learn and actually effectively learn Java. So if we stuff a lot of things together, it will become a mixture of nothing. So yeah, in the previous video we focused on the command line inputs and the scanner class usage. In this video we'll be continuing from the remaining three types, that is the buffer reader, console and data input stream. So this is the structure for buffer reader. Here the method is readLine, that is a non-static method similar to the next that we used in scanner class. It's a non-static method present inside BufferedReader class and accessed by the BufferedReader object. However, it throws an exception, that is specifically IO exception. What exception is? It is a error that is handled, that can be handled. We'll be studying exceptions in detail in the later videos, but for the time being, just note it down. Now again, to use the BufferedReader object, we need to call its constructor. Then the arguments passed inside BufferedReader constructor, this an object of input stream reader. Now this input stream reader um, takes an argument that is system.in. As we have studied what system.in does, it returns the object of input stream class. So if we go backwards, we can say that input stream reader takes the object of input stream class. Buffered reader takes the object of input stream reader class, and this object of buffered reader allows us to use this readLine method in order to take the input. And ultimately this buffered reader class is present inside java.io package. So if we need to use this buffered reader class, you have to import it. Now let's go into the code and delete all this. Now there's this one short piece of thing I need to tell you, that import is that import. Why do we use import? There are certain classes that are available by Java, and those are predefined classes that are available by Java. You can use them instead of writing every line of code by yourself. You can use those predefined classes. So these are available by Java. So one like Java IO, util. Then there are other packages, out of which the java.lang package. This is a package that is imported by default. This line you do not have to write. This line is always there. So yeah, before I go any further out of topic, let's get back. I was going to show what, yeah, buffered reader, java.io.start. This helps me to use buffered reader class object. Say so, yeah, buffered reader. Say I'm using br as the object. Now this takes an argument that is an object of input stream reader. This again takes an argument that is an object of input stream class. Now my buffer reader object is ready. Similar to the previous method where like the previous example of scanner class, let's say over here I'll be taking an input from the user, which platform you're using. Then let's say a string. Sorry. This read line will return me a string. Now, as you can see, there is a red line over here that says this is an error. If you keep your cursor over here, it says an unhandled exception. That is IO exception that I showed in this presentation over here. It throws an IO exception. Since it's a predefined method, you cannot alter its code. So, only way to tackle this problem is to handle it. Now, for the time being, I'll show you the best, not the best, the general way of handling any error. Just write throws exception. Oh, I'm sorry, this throws exception has to be next to the method inside which the exception is thrown. In this example, the main method. You can also write IO exception over here. It's since we know that the read line will throw an IO exception, I can write exception over IO exception over here. Anyways, do not bother about this. We'll be covering these exceptions in detail later. So in this example, I was taking a platform from the user. So now my platform is stored inside this variable. I just have to print it. Sorry. So actually okay, why I deleted is that you can see over here, this string, that platform, the data type of platform is not the java.lang.string. It is some other external libraries that it was using. So that's why there was still that error. I removed that line. Now this platform belongs to string of the lang package. So I guess this should run now. Yeah, it asks me what platform do you use. Say I use, gives me an output. Simple enough. Now next way of taking the dynamic inputs is the console class. Now this console class also uses the readline method, but it's different readline. It is present inside the console class and is accessible by the console class object. Now there is a different way of using the accessing the object of console class. Previously we were using the constructor. Here we cannot use the constructor. Reason being, the constructor is not public. As we have discussed in the access modifiers, the this public scope, if the scope is not public, it cannot be accessed anywhere outside that package. So we cannot access the constructor of console class. So what is the another way of using getting the constructor? We might have some methods which will return the constructor of console class. That happens to be the case. Over here there is a method called console. The C is small way since it's a method. It returns the object of console class. But this console method is present inside system class. So what we have to do is that we have to write system.console. It will return the object of console class. And then from that object we can access the readline method. Now let's move into the code. Again, this is present inside the IO package. As you can see, it is present inside java.io package. So I won't be changing this line. This is my console class. Say my object is C. System.console, and it does not throw any exceptions, so I can remove this line. Okay, so let's say in this example I'll be taking the let's say college name. Enter your college name. So this is the code over here, but I won't be running it. The reason being, it will give me an error. No, the code is absolutely fine. It will still give me an error. The reason being, this console method over here returns the unique console object associated with the current Java virtual machine. Now, since I'm using an IDE, this is IntelliJ platform, or any other IDE if I use, uh, I won't be getting the current Java virtual machine. It provides every IDE provides its own runtime environment. So, in order to let's see what is the output in this scenario. I run it, Shift F10. It gives me an exception that is called null pointer exception, and that is in this line over here, read line. Why? Because the C cannot be the object has not been instantiated. So what I do, I copy pasted this code and I try to run it with the normal text editor and the command prompt. This is the code. I save it. I open command prompt. This is where I saved it. Now I compile it. Now I'll run it. Ask me the college name. Let's say it's some random college. Works fine. So this is the problem in when you're using a console class. There is an error of this, or it's an exception. So a lot of people don't use this method for this very reason. Next we have the last one, that is the data input stream. What happens over here is that again same procedure, similar procedure I'd say. The read line or read methods that are the non-static methods which are accessible only by the data input stream object. These methods throw IO exceptions, so we have to write the line throws IO exception next to the method where we are using these. Now these objects can be created from the constructor, that is data input stream. Data input stream accepts parameters that is system.in. As we already know what system.in does, it gets the object of the input stream class. Now data input stream is present inside Java IO package, so we have to import it. So let's get to the code. .io is there, I don't have to write anything. I remove these part and handle this IO exception that might occur. Say input. Input is the object. You can see over here this code matches with this structure. This is the constructor which takes system.in as the argument. Now I can use it. Let's say this time in this example I want to what should I do over here? Let's say I want to read the marks of a student. So what I have to do, let's say, and yeah, this thing, it will return me a string. So I have to again okay, not this line, like say on this read line method, it will return me a string. So I have to parse it to float. Let's say I read it first. There's a string of say marks. No, let's make it float from here. Float marks equals to float dot parse float. Now input dot read line. You can see this is a deprecated method, but you have to do it this way because the thing is the data inputs and the cache over here is that it reads data byte by byte. So the byte value might be different. So at time if you don't write this read line, you might get some unexpected output. So now I have to just print it and see if it works. Enter your marks. Let's say I scored 89.5. Cool. So it works fine. So this brings us to the end of tutorial on dynamic inputs. Next we'll be studying about in the next video we'll be studying about objects, classes and the different types of constructors. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.